Low prices and discounting is a sure path to misery and a sure path to working harder than you have to. In small business, setting up our prices where they need to be for the profit we need to make to have a healthy business is absolutely critical. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 simple illustrations of scenarios that can show you the dramatic impact that pricing has upon your profitability. And I'm going to share with you the 2 things that you need to be across in order to make sure you can set your pricing where it needs to be. Let's check it out. To have a really healthy level of profitability, there's really only a couple of numbers that you need to know. And the one we're going to focus on in this video is your margins. Now, your margin is how much money you make on every sale. Let's take a look at a couple of scenarios here. So let's start with, let's say that this represents a sale. And let's say that you sell something for $10. And that's $10. Now, let's say in this example that you've got $6 of that is cost, meaning that's the materials, the labor that goes into making that sale. If, for example, let's say you were selling books, you might buy the book for $6 and you're selling it for $10, so your cost is $6. So cost is here, cost is $6. That means on this sale, you're making $4. So in this scenario, you make $4 out of a $10 sale, which means your margin is 40%. Now let's take a look at what happens if you decide to discount. And this is a very common thing for people to do. Don't feel bad if you're doing it. We often feel that we need to discount our prices in order to make a sale. And I'm going to show you why that's a massive mistake. Okay, so let's say now we're selling something for $9. $9. And so our cost remains the same. Right, our cost is still here at $6. I think I'm a little out of proportion there. But cost is $6. And now, out at 6 away from 9, we've got $3 left over in profit. So now 3 as a percentage of 9 is a third, right? It's 33%, 33.3%. Okay, you might be thinking, so what? Let's just do one more scenario. And this time we're going to increase our prices by 10%. So now we're going to sell something for $11. Same thing. So we're going to represent our $11 here, like that. Our cost remains the same at $6. But now we've got $5 left over in profit. Gross profit, to be more accurate. So 5 as a percentage of 11 is 45.5%. 45.5%. Okay, so we've got the original price, $10. We've discounted in this example, brought our margins down to 33.3, and in this example we've increased prices by 10%. So our margin's gone at 45.5. Now, let me show you what that means in terms of how much you have to generate in sales to compare the 3 scenarios. Let's say your business, you want to make profit, this is total net profit of $100,000. And let's say your overhead in your business is $300,000. That's what it costs to open the doors, the rent, utilities, car expenses, all that sort of stuff. Salaries. So if you add these 2 together, you get $400,000, which represents how much gross profit you need to make in your business. Now let's look at scenario number 1 here. Scenario number one. Number one, to make $100,000, well, to make the $400,000 in gross profit at 40%, that would represent $1 million in sales to make $100,000. Scenario number two, you'd have to do $1.2 million in sales. $1.2 million in sales to make $100,000 in profit. So immediately between the two here, you've got to do 20% more in sales. That's working 20% harder to make the same amount of money as situation one. And of course, gets interesting in number three, you'd have to make $880,000 in sales to make $100,000 in profit. That's at the 45.5% margin. So that's 12% less in sales compared to the original, right? So here you get to work 12% less to make exactly the same amount of money as in number one. Let's look at it a different way. Let's say that your business was doing $1 million in sales and these were your three different margins. In scenario number one, okay, if we're doing $1 million in sales, we know what the end is, it's $100,000. All right, 1 million equals $100,000 in profit. Scenario two, if you were doing 1 million in sales, that would equal $33.3 thousand in profit, net profit. So you've dropped by 67% there. And here, that would equal $155,000 in profit. This is all off $1 million in sales. So $1 million in sales equals $155,000 in profit at a margin, at number three margin here. So you can see between number one and number three, you've got a 55.5% increase in profitability for the same amount of work, right? So whichever way you look at it, you can see the massive difference that it makes depending on where your prices are. Never discount or rarely discount and have the confidence to increase your prices. But let's take a look at what those two things are that you need to address to be able to increase your prices. The impact on your profitability is quite astounding, isn't it? Look, we've only used one example here of a gross profit level. Obviously, your business might be different. We've got a download below where you can download a sheet that outlines a whole different range of margins and sales levels and shows you what the impact of increasing your prices versus discounting is, and you can see how much you can, how much less sales you can do for the same amount of profit, or how much more sales you need to do for the same amount of profit, as I said, based on different margins. But now let's take a look at those two things that we need to be across to be able to put our numbers where they need to be. No doubt you feel there are several reasons why you can't increase your prices or why it's difficult to do so. We generally find it boils down to two things. The first is that perhaps you haven't done a great job of identifying what the things of value are to your customers. What I mean by that is within your market, there's a subsection of people who value something way more than a low price. You need to identify what it is that they value and become really good at doing that thing, and then become really good at communicating your ability to do that thing. When you can do that and you find the right people, people will pay more for what you've got to offer. The second point is it comes back to your own psychology. Too often, if we feel fearful around, putting out a higher price, if we've got that fear within us, we project that onto our customers, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They throw that objection back to us. Once we know what our prices need to be, we understand our numbers, and we have confidence in the service or the product that we're delivering, we've got to stand behind that. We've got to be confident. And when you portray that kind of energy to the right sort of customer, price just won't be an issue. So there you have it. some insights and hopefully a clear illustration on the difference that increasing and decreasing your prices can have on your profitability. Remember the download below if you'd like to check out what the different margins and increasing and decreasing prices can mean to your business. And of course you can subscribe to our YouTube channel right there where you can be notified about the next videos as they come out. We welcome your questions below or any comments, and once again, thanks for watching.